are going to get Snacks with an Expert started. So we've got some people with us online here, and then we do have some people in person. So it is a true hybrid event today. We are going to do, we will be sharing the screen with everybody online, so you guys will be able to see it as well. But first and foremost, I'd like to introduce myself, actually. My name is Sam Charette. I am the event coordinator here at Spark Offices. I put together all of our Snacks with an Expert events. Anybody is a speaker and wants to present on a topic or get some more speaking skills in, we can certainly have a right there.
She doesn't know it yet, but right there.
She's on your list. So we can certainly chat. Today, your Snacks with an Expert is with Miss Krista Crotty. She is the owner and business coach of Velocity Business Strategists. She is going to explain to you guys how we're going to blow up your blind spots and make your operations and strategies perfect. So without further ado, Ms. Krista.
Thank you, Sam. It's good to be here. So thank you guys very much for being here, both online and in person. It's great to see your faces. Thank you for being here. What I want to talk to you about today, Sam, thank you for that introduction. My background is actually engineering, production, and operations management. I have a BS in mechanical engineering. And one of the best compliments I was ever paid was, wait, you're an IBM engineer? I don't see that. I'm like, thank you, because I didn't either. I spent 10 years there. I loved every minute of it. And eventually I knew that it was time to move on. Engineering school was amazing. And I think the biggest thing I learned was the amount of bullshit I'm willing to put up with before I say something. And learned at a very young age that I am a terrible employee. I don't like being told what to do. So this is a little bit about me. My family is my why. Why do I do what I do? I do it so that I can help make a better life for them. I can help be an amazing role model for my daughter. And my daughter's actually in all but 2 of these pictures. So we are here today to talk about blowing up blind spots. Mindset modifications for accelerating outcomes and making success stick. So who here has set New Year's resolutions? Who here has set goals for their business, right? Said, hey, I'm going to do one of these 3 things is probably where it falls. I'm going to make more money. I'm going to find more time. I'm going to get more done. Any of these sound familiar? Can you fit one or many of your plans for this year to those things? So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk a little bit about why we set these, what we do and how we stand in our own way, and then open up your mind to the possibility of what if those roadblocks were gone? What if those detours didn't happen? What if you stopped being the speed control in your business? Biggest thing for me that I've learned over the years that I've been mentored on and continue to get mentored on, work with coaches, set accountability partners, is mindset and self-doubt. For me, I have learned over the years that one of the best ways to motivate me to do something, tell me I can't, and then watch me while I overcome your underestimation. You know, I was told at 12 when I was watching an Indianapolis 500, and I was like, I'm going to race cars. And I had more people tell me, yeah, girls don't do that. Guess who went out and tried to drive her dad's truck like 2 days later? I only ran over 1 irrigation pipe, but I still drove it. So, you know, and one of the biggest things is when you're dealing with yourself and you're a small business owner, who do we talk to the most? Ourselves, right? I'll lovingly say, who do we lie to the most? Ourselves. So why do we do that? Protection. It's protection, right? You want to see yourself succeed. You never want to see yourself give up. You never want to be hard on yourself. Yet we're the person that's the hardest on ourselves, right? So I love this quote by Charles Darwin. It's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent. It's the most responsive to change. So I added this slide in, funny enough, February of 2020. What happened in March? We were all given a massive pivot and said, yeah, by the way, your entire world's going to change. So how many people are still here at least doing something that is similar to what they were doing in 2019? Some facet of it, right? Congratulations, good job. How many people completely pivoted and changed? For me, I've been doing business online or virtually, I'll lovingly say, since 2002. I think we started doing virtual calls instead of when I worked for a tech company. And instead of going over every 6 to 8 weeks to check on the manufacturing line, we started doing things over the phone. Okay. Would have loved to have had video calls back then, but the tech didn't really catch up to where it is now for a lot of years. So, we responded, we needed the support over there. And then I went and spent anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks over there, spent it in Singapore. We had a manufacturing line in Scotland. And, the cool thing was I got to live one of my biggest whys by doing that. I got to travel. I really wanted to travel. So, we responded to those changes. Now, 2005 was when I started out on my own. 2020, one of my biggest pivots was helping those people that were like, wait, I can do this online. One of my biggest success stories is a woman who owned a loose leaf tea company. What does she do? She does events. She teaches people how to make tea. She goes into organizations and performs tea tastings. How the hell do you do that online when you're not allowed to be around anybody? Same way they do Wine of the Month Club. So in her 72 years of experience, she was like, I hate Zoom. I'm not doing this virtually. Guess what she does now?
Just virtual.
Just virtual. And if you want her live in person, add a 0 to the cost of doing the event with her. And she gets it. Talk about a massive mindset shift for her, because she did it kicking and screaming. She did it. So the other why that comes up in my life a lot of times working with clients is, funny enough, this is Chinese brushwork. It is the word in Chinese for crisis. Exactly what 2020 brought us, right? Was a crisis. You, as a business owner, you get to choose. Do you choose to focus on the danger? Or do you choose to focus on the opportunity? You can't focus on both. I could, as a race car driver, focus on the absolute dangers of every time I get behind the wheel. Why don't I? Because the opportunity that I have to drive the types of cars that I have way outweighs the danger of doing it. And I have a really good life insurance policy. So, all that little stuff. So, I have this actually hanging on my wall in my office, and I invite you to find a quote that motivates you, that helps you focus on your why, that helps you do what you do, and put it around you. Put it in little Post-it notes, put it on your phone, keep it around you, and keep reminding yourself how amazing it is. I love getting emails from Sam. So every one of them starts out with, "You're amazing. Oh my goodness, thank you." I'm like, okay, thank you. All I did was what you told me to do, but okay, cool. I'll take it, So one of the big things that business owners get to do is surround themselves with people that believe in them beyond believing in yourself. And I love this quote. I don't remember where I got it from. Surround yourself with the dreamers and the doers, the believers and the thinkers, and most of all, surround yourself with those who see the greatness in you even before you see it yourself. A group like this has that possibility. When you work with a business coach, when you work with an accountability coach, when you're part of a networking group that truly believes and helps you get through the best of times and the worst of times, and they're there for you regardless. I was fortunate enough to go to 2 different networking meetings today, and they both supported their members in totally different ways. And it was amazing because one I'm a part of, and one I was an outsider filling in for someone else. And yet I never felt like an outsider. So you as a business owner get to take that, why do you do business, and share it with those people. You're doing one of the, what do you need to do to make this successful? What do you need to do to keep your business going? It's that. Surrounding yourself with like-minded people, getting yourself out there, allowing yourself to be vulnerable. It took me over a year after I moved to really allow myself to open up and be vulnerable and start networking. A year, I sat at home and hid behind my screen. As my coach said, lovingly, get the hell out of entrepreneurial witness protection program and get your ass networking. So I did. So we've probably all seen this. What you feed grows, what you starve dies, right? What are you doing in your business that's working? What is helping you? What is making you grow? And what is making you be that seed that's coming out of its shell, or that caterpillar that's coming out of its cocoon into the moth or the butterfly that it's going to become? How are you stretching yourself? Because yeah, it's going to be hurt. It's going to be uncomfortable. Yet the reward is always on the other side of going to the gym when you want to lose weight, you want to get in shape, right? And when you're able to starve the negativity, you're able to avoid those people that I will say lovingly in your life do everything they can to protect you. I know I have a spouse that does on a continual basis. Well, have you made any money yet? Well, has this person brought you a referral yet? No. It's all about planting the seeds, right? You didn't get to where you're at right now by not allowing people to help you, by not giving to other people. We do it all the time. And being able to surround yourself with those people that, yes, it's great for them to push you, yet it's still great when their why is the same as yours and they can appreciate why you're doing something. So another thing is, you can either, in my world of NLP, you can either be at cause or in effect. And what that means is you can make excuses and stay stuck, or you can make adjustments and move forward. In the world of racing, one of the things you do at a test day is you get the car off the trailer, you go out, probably similar in horse training, right? You start training for something and you go out and you see where you're at. You get yourself a baseline. Where is your baseline in your business right now, right? We're starting a new year. I personally choose to use the Lunar New Year or Chinese New Year to start my business, because we take vacation for 2 weeks in January. So I can't start my business over in January. I wait until I'm back from vacation, which David can appreciate, right? So you set that baseline and then you adjust one little thing here or one little thing there. You adjust how you're doing your email marketing. You adjust how you're networking. You adjust how you're spending a little bit. You don't go in and adjust all of those things. Especially in the race car, if you adjust caster and camber and alignment and this and that and change the fuel you're using, and oh, by the way, we're going to offset the timing by that much, and then it starts to work better. Well, what helped? Or it's so far off the board that you don't know what you're doing. It's shifted and adjusted again. So, in your business, as you're starting to set these goals, as you're determining, it's great. I love it when businesses do like a year end. Here's what we did last year. Here's what worked. Here's what we need to improve on. In my opinion, it's always failing forward. It's changing those things and saying, yeah, you know what? I've had multiple businesses, and I will be the first one to tell you, I've had them fail, and that's okay, because I learned a ton. I've had business meetings that I've walked into and said, yeah, I've got this, and it totally goes sideways. I'm like, oh, was I thinking? Okay, let's sit down and triage this. Let's figure out what was different. Where was the disconnect? And then you can move forward and go back into it. So it's being able to blow up those blind spots, be able to look at those things and say, okay, this worked, that didn't. Where can we learn? Who here has had a reoccurring relationship in their life? Right? Shows up, it's kind of this little, hey, are you paying attention? Next thing you know, it's this big tap on the shoulder. It's the, hey, are you watching me now? Are you listening? Or maybe it's an event, something that you've done, and then you're like, I'm never going to do that again. And then you find yourself doing it again, right? Going to the gym first thing, going, I'm going to run 2 miles. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go work out. And the next day you're like, I can't get out of bed. I hurt so bad, right? Those things, they will typically reoccur in your life until you've learned the lesson from what's happening during that event, right? I know for me, big one was my dad. Big one was my dad. And he is a workaholic. He's also a functioning alcoholic. I never took part in the functioning alcoholic part, fortunately. I learned how to reverse model and stay away from that. Although I have found that I can be a workaholic. I can get up at 4 o'clock and work for 3 hours before my daughter gets up. Send her to school, work for another 6 or 7 hours, pick her up from school, spend time with her and my husband, and then go and work for another 4 or 5 hours. And then the next thing I'm like, oh, hang on, I only got 4 hours of sleep. But it wasn't until, and I've done that for years, it wasn't until my business coach turned around and goes, okay, write everything down that you do. So I did. Everything from the point you get up to the point you go to sleep, minus intimacy and bathroom breaks. Like, okay, no problem. There were a lot of patterns in there that I never saw because this is my field of view. I am right here. I am focused on this. This is what I'm getting done. And not until my business coach came in and said, hey, have you looked at this? Did you notice this? Did you notice that every 3 months you cycle through this? It's like, holy crap. Really? Okay, cool. So we made some adjustments. I owned the fact that I am my biggest problem, as most business owners are. Most of us didn't get into business to run businesses, right? We got into it because we love horses. We got into it because we love creative design. We got into it because we love, for you, we love people. I don't care what I'm doing. We love people, right? You love to give back. You love to weld, right? You didn't get in to do the business side of the business. I love business. So that's where I help my clients, right? I'm not going to come in and tell you how to weld something. No, I'm going to send you clients. I'm going to send you people to do, but yet I need to know and understand enough of it to know who to send you, right? Just like graphic design. I know I don't want to do anything. Any of my marketing people that I've connected with, it's great. I don't want to do my own marketing. I pay somebody to do my marketing. I'm not going to do my own marketing. I know that. And when you can make adjustments and learn how to delegate those things that are outside your wheelhouse and take that feedback and run with it, guess what? You accelerate success. The other thing you can do is stay away from negative people. That's a big one. You know, your best friend who was like, I don't understand how you can't just go get a job. It'd be so much easier if you just had benefits. I mean, people have heard that one. It's so much easier if you just had a regular paycheck. Yeah, but the upside is take that paycheck and add a zero when I work for myself, right? So surround yourself with those people that are supportive of you, that want to see you succeed. And as I saw today in the 2 places that I went, are there to support you when the times get tough. They're there to listen. They're there to support you. They're there to say, hey, you know what? Yeah, absolutely. It sucks. I'm there with you 100%. Did I like 2020? No, absolutely not. Do I like being on Zoom? I'd rather be in person. And I'm okay with Zoom because it still allowed me to stay connected with people on some level, right? Here's the thing. You guys probably saw this before we started my screen, right? This is a Buddhist proverb. Change is inevitable and suffering is optional. It's your choice to stay stuck. It's your choice to make changes, to be in that uncomfortable position of going, you know what? Yeah, it's time for some help. I've been there multiple times, multiple businesses, and it's okay. The best thing I ever did was join a group coaching program, was to join these things and be around other people that have failed, that have not had it work before. And we shared war stories. It was great. And some of my biggest celebrations, my biggest people that I call first were part of that group still. 15 years later, I'm like, I got to win today. You know, we have a little happy dance, made a sale. Yeah, let's go. I don't care how big or small it is, you know. I made a $97 sale the other day. I'm like, yeah. You know, I made a $9,000 sale. It's just, you know, it's Magic Money Days. I open my account and there's Magic Money Day. So, no, you guys haven't heard that before? Magic Money Days, right? Who here has Square or use some sort of an account, right? Payment processing. Somebody buys something and they're like, whoa, look at that. There's more money in my account than I expected. Yes, it's a good day. And we all have the flip days too, but that's okay. We can focus on the good days. This is a great graphic one of my clients made for me, and I've seen it posted all over, so she did an amazing job. And it talks about the comfort and the fear zone. Most entrepreneurs live in that comfort and that fear zone. And when you're able to progress into that learning and that growth zone, you really are able to make the money, I'll lovingly say. So you're able to acquire those new skills, really extend your ability to impact more people, set new goals, conquer your objectives. And it's a cycle, because once it starts happening, guess what? It's almost addictive. You can start to do more, you can start to do more, you can start to do more. And then the possibilities go into the, you know, you've done your why, you've got, you know, you've seen those vision boards, and this is why I do everything, you know, and then it's, okay, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to get more clients, I'm going to make more money. How am I going to do it? I'm going to avoid negative people. I'm going to surround myself with good people. I'm going to get more clients. Well, then you get to the, well, what if this happens? What if that happens? Right? What if I do land that $50,000 client for the year? What if I do land that $5,000 a month retainer client? How awesome is that? There's a little saying, what could be better than that? Period. Who here believes in energy? Right? When you put it out there, guess what? My daughter and I did that whole, what could be better than that? We used to have to, when I drove her, before we moved, when I drove her to school, we had 9 traffic lights between our house and the school. And I'm like, okay, kiddo, you ready? She's like, yep, green lights all the way. Here we go. What could be better than that? And every day she did that, we had green lights all the way to school. I'm like, kiddo, we got to start leaving like 10 minutes later because I can't drop you off for another 10 minutes. So, what could be better than that? So we spent 10 minutes in the park next door, so that whole time, it all plays into it. So when you land a client, when you achieve that goal, we'll help you with the mindset side of it. Just simply tell yourself, what could be better than that? Never answer it, because then it ends the cycle. What could be better than that? Just leave it open-ended, because then you know what? The universe is going to respond. And coming from an engineer into the woo-woo stuff, you're like, really? It's like, yeah. There was a great article in Entrepreneur Magazine last year that talked about the woo-woo, the whole energy, and how, some of your biggest and brightest, Oprah, Elon Musk, name a top executive, particularly being a techie from the tech industry, that doesn't use it. Be hard pressed to find one that doesn't. Most do on some level. And as a recovering corporate engineer, I can appreciate the fact that it's hard to do it first, and it's okay. So that is it. I'd love to open it up for questions. I hope you guys got a lot out of it. I hope there was a lot of good information. I do have an offer for you guys once we're done with questions. So I'll open it up for questions, and then I will invite you guys to join me. Yes, Mr. Steve.
When you were talking about certain wins, I was working at the YMCA on Bear Island, and this gentleman was very successful to the point where he was just volunteering now. And every time something would happen with the water heater, that we would take one step forward on it, he goes, "That's a win. That's a win. That's a win."
Yep.
And then he did it the whole day. Was there for 10 hours.
Oh, wow.
And so now I use this term.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's fun about being around those energy people, that that's a win.
Yep.
And sometimes I'll do it and I'll go, "That's a win." And then it'll make me remember how happy I was when he was saying it. And then I feel it. And then I'm taking his energy from a past
100%.
time and enjoying it in the present. Oh.
So in my world, that's called anchoring. And when you can do that, called anchoring. So I am an NLP trained practitioner. I'm also a trainer of NLP. And one of the things I will be doing down the road, probably late this year, is doing actual NLP training classes. And then one of the things we do is anchoring, and how to keep yourself in that mindset when you're having a bad day. How do you flip that switch and go, let's go? Okay, right? Huh? Oh, sorry. NLP is neuro-linguistics programming. So it's the science of the way the human brain thinks. It's really cool stuff. It takes my nerdy engineer and the energy and melds them together. It's really cool. So what other questions do we have? Yes.
Question, but also, and maybe my own way of thinking about it too, and seeing what you think. Mentoring, but I think of it like a parallel universe mentoring, where there's somebody that's doing what I'm doing, they're just ahead, doing exactly the same thing. That was helpful to me. How do you feel about that? Because we throw out mentoring, mean lots of different things. That's what works in my world. I don't know what do you think?
So there's a lot of different ways to look at it. I totally believe in mentoring, figuring out how to grab the coattails of somebody that's ahead of you a couple of steps. As a more of a mentor than a mentee, although I am a mentee in several capacities, is looking back and going, hey, you know what? You just started your business a year ago. Let's talk, right? So it's kind of a double-edged sword to me, because the cool thing is doing what I do. Yes, I'm absolutely helping my clients. And the really cool thing is I get help with my shit every day.
Yeah.
So, there's not a day that goes by where I don't learn as much, I believe, from my clients as I do give back to them. Because it always is, it should always be a two-way street, right? It shouldn't just be, hey, you know what, Greg, do this, do this, do this, do this. No. you should be questioning what I'm telling you to do. You should be questioning whether or not something is going to work. And again, it comes all about to surrounding yourself with people that can help you, whether it's stretch you or like what I do a lot of times is I question the way my clients do things because I want to help them understand and see a different perspective. Right. So, I had a good friend of mine, just, unfortunately, one of the things about being a coach or being a mentor is a lot of times it ends up just falling out of your mouth and I have to ask permission. I've learned to just, give people my opinion. And so she was struggling with a family matter. And she's like, I just don't understand. Her family's originally from Texas. A little bit of a complicated family dynamic. She's adopted her niece. She's lived here now for 2 years. And dad's decided that I kind of want my kid back, even though dad abandoned her with the grandparents like 10 years ago. And so grandma was coming up to visit, and my friend couldn't figure out why grandma was driving or why her mom was driving. And I looked, I'm like, your brother's coming with her. And she's like, what? I was like, it's not just your mom coming to visit, because the three of them, stepdad, mom, and her brother, can drive for cheaper than the three of them can fly. And she's like, I would have never thought that. So a lot of times it's that mentor-mentee situation where someone who is doing something you've done or doing something that you want to be doing, they'll see those things that you deal with every day that, you know what, I've been there. I've walked in maybe your shoes, maybe your socks, maybe bare feet. But they've been there, so they can say, hey, you know what? And it's that, you guys have heard of the Titanic being 1 degree off, right? Well, what if it was 1 degree in the other direction? Next thing you know, they're in Bermuda. Woo, let's go, So it's that slightly different perspective. Same thing happens when you ride in a car with someone, right?
And would you agree with debt? Because the person's been there, has that debt, that experience, to draw on and bring it back to be like, okay,
100%. And the cool thing is when you're able to, I'll lovingly say, model someone or learn from them, you not only learn what worked, you learn more quickly what didn't, right? Anyone have multiple children? Did the second one start walking faster than the first one? 100%, right? Because guess what? They watched the other one learn how to walk, right? The best thing we do in race car driving is we do a lead follow. We sit there, and I love to do this because I love to chase things. I love to be the person in the back going, okay, you know what? I am going to be all over your mirrors. The only thing you're going to see is my tires. Let's go. And I've learned I do way better when I'm chasing something than when I'm being chased, because when I'm being chased, I'm doing this. I'm looking in my mirrors the entire time. No, I need to chase something. So, any questions? Yes.
You talked about assessing your organization or whatever. What does an assessment meeting look like? What are you going to do with it?
So have you heard of a SWOT analysis?
Yeah.
So strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Yeah.
So way I start mine is I start with, what is your biggest issue? What is the one thing you want to work on? And typically I will tell you that one thing you want to work on, that problem that you're having, is not really the problem, right? So we spend anywhere from 4 to 8 hours together. We go through, we look at it and say, okay, this is what you planned on doing. This is what you're telling me the problem is. We go through those couple of hours. We look at all of those, areas. We'll look at it typically in 3 pillars. I look at your marketing, I look at your operations, and I look at your administration. I focus mostly on the operations, right? The do that you do that makes you money. How do you do that, right? I have people that I work with that work on the marketing, the branding, the sales side of it. I can teach you the sales side of it, but you need that marketing and branding first, right? And then ultimately admin, you only need admin when you have the other 2. So until you have the operations, a great rule of thumb is once you have 10 hours of operations, you need an hour of admin. And if you're doing your own books, just shoot yourself in the foot right now.
Yeah.
Just plain and simple. So, it's a matter of how complicated. Like, I've done my own books for years, yet I have a tax professional. I have a tax person who looks at it and says, yeah, okay, my business is simple. I coach, I do speaking engagements, I have expenses. It's pretty simple. Now, as I'm starting to bring on other coaches and grow my business, that becomes a whole different animal, right? So I started working with someone last year so they could start to understand my business. And when you can bring people on, the great rule of thumb that I like to tell my clients is if you can make more money doing what you do in operations and offload the admin stuff, do it. Right? I pay someone to clean my house. I pay someone to do my taxes. I pay someone to change the oil in my car. Can I do it? 100%. Absolutely. It's the reason I don't really have fingernails. I do a lot of the work. I enjoy it. But if I need to go to a business meeting and the oil kind of comes on, the first I'm going to do is pull into a garage and go, okay, I need your help. Because I don't have to do it myself. I can, but I don't have to. And that's probably one of the biggest things as a business owner I would encourage you to do is help with the stigma of it's okay to ask for help. Right? So many of us got into business because we're like, oh yeah, I want to be my own boss. I own my own company. And I see it time after time. I was talking to somebody earlier today, time after time, they created a job for themselves. And now they don't just do their job. They wear 5 or 6 other hats. And they're so burned out by the end of the day that they're of no use to anybody, let alone themselves. So being able to delegate and work towards that is a big part of it. Yeah.
So with that, how much you save your time is spent with someone looking at what they say they love doing and they're doing versus maybe what they haven't thought about, what they could love more, be better at, and then getting into outsource or take those things away from them because they really aren't enjoying that they're doing through some week.
Yeah. So a lot of it has to do, so communication is only 7% words. If you study NLP and you get into any body language in that, it's only 7% what they say. It's a lot of how they say it. It's a lot of their body language, and so it's really looking at them when they talk about what they do. Cause I mean, you can probably tell I love cars, like anything in my world. If it has to do with cars, great. It has to do with doing my books and my marketing, and so it's a lot of that. It's a lot of the conversation and just how do they present it? What do they avoid saying? Because a lot of times they won't talk about certain things in their business and you immediately know, like, here, you know what, there's 12 things here that should be in any business. And if you avoid talking about 6 of them, I know there's a problem. Just like the kid who's like, yeah, no, I didn't do that. Or they don't tell you, you ask them to do, so do it. And they walk into the other room because they don't want to talk about it. Yes, Steve.
So it's interesting about the whole body language because I walk my dog twice a day on my own street and I wave at almost always the same people. And I can tell the people that are like really happy to see me, and the ones that might not be as happy.
They're like, oh,
hey, or maybe
him again.
Whatever. And I was analyzing it today. There was one person that I needed to get away from. And I was like, wow. And then I kept doing the experiment, and I'm like, wow. And like, we used to all the time, no, like I saw you, and they might maybe preoccupied, and then maybe tired.
Preoccupation, and here's the cool thing is that the biggest one is they may not have even seen you, right? So I was on a road trip, we're driving down the road, and it's a road that I've been down 1,000 times, grew up in the area, and a friend of mine was in the passenger seat, and they're like, oh my God, what is that? Pointing out the windshield. I'm like, what's what? I'm like, I have no clue what they're pointing at all. And perspective, never been to the state before. I was in Oregon. We're driving out, if you guys know anything about it, driving down Marine Drive, which is along the Columbia River, and Mount Hood out in the distance, right? It's part of the Cascades. It's a volcanic mountain, sticks up, massive white mountain, can't miss it. No clue what they're pointing at. They grew up in Connecticut. The mountains are like the White Mountains here. You can't tell they're mountains. No, mountains stick up out of the very, there's snow-capped peaks all the time. So that perspective is very different. And when you surround yourself by somebody, you can see that, just that slight difference. And they probably never even saw you because they're so focused on what they were doing. Yeah.
It's just, it's neat to understand the language that everybody's talking.
Yeah.
So that's the word.
Yep. Well, and they do, I've had it, the great thing about when I go to a networking event is, it's pretty easy to tell somebody who doesn't even want to shake your hand. Right? I'm a hugger. If I met you once, I will come and give you a big old hug. Like, oh, okay, cool. And now I know those people that are like, how's it going? or their hands, maybe their hands are here. They're going to present like, yep, good to see you. But their hands aren't anywhere in sight. It's a pretty good clue that they don't even want to shake your hand. They definitely don't want to hug, you know? So it's little things like that, that, you know, over time you can pick up on.
Because they're kind of related to that. I know it's challenging in the virtual Zoom environment to get the full scope of, especially with the body language, right? So have you been able to find like different ways for yourself to kind of help overcome and compensate for that, so that you are better able to understand even in this virtual environment? It's a lot of different ones.
So there's a lot of nuances. Some people are very demonstrative in the way they do things, and other people it's micro expressions. So a lot of times it'll be, are they even paying attention? Sorry guys, I'm not used to having the computer and, you know, but they'll have like little micro expressions, or, you know, you've also, you know, my phone, they're all doing, you know, you can see them from like here up, right? You see them and then they're like this, or their video's always off, right? Anytime I have a video conference with a client, their video has to be on, or I charge them double. Plain and simple, because then I have to listen more, and I'm not a very auditory person. I have to listen a lot more to what they're saying, how they're saying it, how things have changed, as their cadence changes, their tone changed. There's a lot that goes into it.
That has become a little bit hard. I agree with you, because generationally, right? It's cool to have your video.
Yeah.
One. Number two, male and female. If I'm 25 years old and I'm female, I'm probably not going to put my video on to a 54-year-old man, right? So what I'm saying is it's challenging. So I've had clients where I haven't had any video and I've signed them up on a plan, right? And unfortunately, some of that falling forward or that learning occurs in the plan, no matter what we write out, right? Because I've never seen them.
Well, and
because of those reasons I just gave.
Right. And the cool thing about it is you can choose to embrace it and accept it, and, you know, stop fighting to change it. Right. I mean, that's the way they are. That's the way they are. And the thing is, that's a reflection of them.
Right.
The way you do business, the way you do business, the way they do business, the way they do business. And in NLP, the really cool thing is if you really don't like someone, it's actually a reflection of you. What is it that you're doing? Because so the unconscious mind is unable to see something in someone else that doesn't exist within yourself. And so good or bad, right? You're really drawn to someone, like you're drawn to your spouse or your partner or whatever. The mind is looking to be completed. So it's things you love about them. It's things that you feel like, oh, I'm really drawn to this, or I really want to learn how to do this. The same is true when you don't like someone.
I do think that's a very good question. I didn't interrupt, but because there's so much more of a business.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And we do have to evolve with that. Because like you just said, you're not going to make someone turn the video.
One of the worst pieces of advice I was ever given was by a professor in college. And I followed it for several years. I was told, never discuss what you do on the weekends when you're at a business meeting.
Really? I do that. Can I break all these?
But you got to remember, this was the early 90s, right? Women weren't engineers. Women didn't drive race cars. I was usually the only woman in the room. And my professor was like, no, keep your personal life personal.
Yeah.
And that has totally shifted. And when I went out on my own, I landed my first major client because I did open my mouth and I started talking about racing.
I mean,
the guy was into Ferraris. I'm like, I just watched one smashed last weekend. Guy was at a test day, chugging around the corner, spun it out, is like 10 days old, backed it in, totaled it at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Oh yeah. Let's hope he had the rider to be able to take it on the track in the first place. So, you know, but it's those kinds of things, you know, when I started opening up, being vulnerable and being like, look, I literally hid behind my computer for a year. Now here I am, you know, I was told in high school I would never public speak. Here I am killing it, I think, but you know. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I know. Don't tell me I can't. Watch me go. So any other questions, comments?
Does any of your NLP work to do with eye movement desensitization, or just eye movement to kind of see patterns in the way people in knowledge things, understand them, remember them?
Absolutely. Yep. Yep. Sounds like you have a little bit in it. Yeah, it's really interesting because I never realized that I had a lot of blocks from my childhood being told I couldn't do things. And in my training, we did a really simple eye test. And the trainer's like, yeah, when were you told, at what point in your life were you told to pull your head out of the clouds and stop dreaming? And I'm like, all of us were told that. I guess I just chose to embrace it on some level, and then eventually got over it. So that's some of the work that I do with clients, is getting rid of those limiting beliefs, those limiting decisions, whether you realize you have them or not. A lot of it is, one of the workshops I do is goal setting. And then we layer in what we call timeline therapy, where we actually insert the goal into your future. You want to get really woo-woo? Because I've had it happen now twice. I'm like, okay, this works. So, but yeah, it's a lot with that, the eye movement, skin tonation fluctuations, pursing of the lips. It's, we spend almost a whole day on it, talking about it. So, let's talk offline. I don't give my trade secrets away. So people, I'll lovingly say that's what people pay me for. So, there's different areas that you go and you look to recall something like it's happened to you in the past. And there's other areas that you go to, your brain is automatically connected, and your eyes will go if you're constructing something. So it's really cool when you have kids and they're like, yeah, and their eyes go in a certain direction, and I'm like, really? That's what happens?
Yeah.
And she's like, no, but well, it's pretty easy to tell when they're lying, when their eyes go a certain direction, guess what? You're totally constructing all of that. Or maybe it's not so much down in construct, it's a little bit up in the recalling. So they remembered some of it, right? Because what do we hear in the movies? That some of the best lies are based in truth, right? When you're dealing with a con man or something, right? There's a lot that can be recovered. One of the women that was in my class was truly in sales. And we learned eye patterns, and there was a 4-day class, and then there was a 3-week break, and then we went back for 4 days. And the last thing we were taught was eye patterns and looking at it. And she increased her sales in those 3 weeks just using eye patterns by 4,000%.
It's different for different people.
So it's different for different people. It depends on what handedness you are. So if you're right-handed versus left-handed, it'll be a flip. But it also layers into how you identify and whether you've had trauma or not. And trauma I use loosely, right? Could be like, I was told to pull my head out of the clouds. So I skip the construct and imagination section, are used to completely. So my eyes would skip, like they would bounce instead of going around in a circle. Mm-hmm. And you can get super woo and we can work on that. So any other questions? No? I want to be respectful of everybody's time. If I can have 2 minutes and share with you guys what I'd like to invite you to be a part of. So I talked to a couple of you already today about this, or over the last couple of days, and I am. Is it not gonna?
It is showing on.
Okay. Can you let Jenna know if you can see it on? You can see it online? Okay. Okay. So I have decided to kind of do a rebuild on one of my offers and mash it together, supercharge it. So I am doing a 12-week accelerator program. It is 12 recorded sessions, 12 live group sessions to where we get together. It's online. The recorded sessions, you'll get them in your inbox as a video recording. And then you also get 6 25-minute personal one-to-one coaching sessions, where if there's something you don't want to share with the group that you'd really rather work on one-on-one, you get 6 sessions. Wonderful thing about being a linguist. You get 6 sessions to work on that with me one-on-one. I started rolling it out at about $1,500. I'm going to offer it to you guys for $997 for supporting me and getting me back out of Entrepreneur Witness Protection Program. I love it. Thank you. And then for those of you that might be a little bit, I appreciate it. I've been there, right? We've been all those bootstrapping engineers going, man, I'm living on, peanut butter and jelly and ramen and everything else. There's no way I don't even have $1,000 on my credit card. We can do payments. So you sign up, and then for the 3 months that we're in workshop, you actually make 3 payments. So if you're interested, that's the website. I will also follow up with each of you. I would like to offer you guys all a discovery session as well. if you want some timeline work, I can highlight that as well. And if you're interested in the NLP, let's definitely talk about that, because that's something that it takes a little bit more of a following, and I don't have that yet to fill a class. I like to make changes happen to where we have 20 to 25 people in the class so that you guys get that massive impact with having other people in the room that you can share your experience with. So any questions? Okay, awesome. Even better, even better. And let me know if the tech doesn't work, because the marketing moron that put it together might not know what she's doing. So, and if you guys want the slides, I'm happy to share those as well. I'll make sure that Jenna and Sam have those. I know I'm the kind of person to frantically write notes, and then at the end I'm like, okay, the cool thing is your unconscious already has it up here, so you know where to go back and get it. And just remember that the possibilities of what if. Imagine what's possible. Focus on what you want, and surround yourself with the right people. Surround yourself with those people that are there to support you and lift you up. And yes, catch you when you fall down and scrape your knee and go, you know what? What does it need? It needs a kiss. Let's go. So thank you all very much.
Yeah, can you email us?
Were there any
the
questions
slides?
online? I lost you guys. Hang on.
Can you email us the slides?
Yeah, I can,
There was one question in the chat, is there a discount code? Because when you go and have the link, it's still giving.
yes, it's Spark. I didn't put that on there. It's Spark. I did. I realized now that you say that, yeah, I put it in there. I got that part of it set up. So you should be able to put Spark in there in the discount code, then check out. It should give you the $9.97. If you're interested in the payment plan, I'll run those manually. So let me know. We'll get you signed up with that. Just email me. We'll set up a time to chat, and we can go from there. So yeah. Yep. Okay, cool. Awesome.